Well, hello everybody, it is that time once again to be taking a look at yet another Doctor Who Robert Harrop limited edition hand-painted figurine. In today's review, one of the latest releases as a part of their series, and it is the Ancient One from the 7th Doctor story, The Curse of Fenric. This statue is limited edition to 225 units, and has in fact now sold out on the Robert Harrop website. Which does tend to be the theme of this series. If you're somebody who wants to collect this line, you need to get in there early to purchase these products before they sell out. I do believe that this statue in particular sold out within around 48 hours, and I don't blame the people for buying this one because it looks really brilliant indeed. As always, the packaging has been made out of corrugated cardboard to ensure that the statue on the inside of the box is safe and does follow the modern Doctor Who style guide. At the very front we have the inclusion of the stacked new series Doctor Who logo in the white typeface along the BBC logo, and at the bottom it states that this is a limited edition hand-painted figurine with the Robert Harrop logo. Accompanying the band of Gallifreyan text, we also have a sticker which states that this is the 44th figure within the series, and it is the Ancient One from the 7th Doctor story, The Curse of Fenric, limited edition to 225 units. As for the rest of the box, this does of course feature a lovely graphic of the TARDIS exterior box on either side, and then at the very back we have a few company details about Robert Harrop and the same information repeated. On the top of the box we get a further sticker which once again repeats exactly the same details, and this time round we have the unique identification number handwritten on, mine of which being Unit 81 out of 225. The statue does come packaged with your usual certificate of authenticity featuring a nice image of the Ancient One from the story itself, as well as the unique identification number once again handwritten on. The back of the certificate features a short story synopsis as well as further company details. So here we have the Ancient One out of the box, and doesn't he look incredible? One of the main things that attracted me to this statue release was that we've not really seen much of the Ancient One within the previous Doctor Who merchandise lines. Capture Options haven't released a 5.5 action figure, and there isn't really any other versions of this available. I do believe that probably the Eaglemoss figurine collection have done a Omnivore at some point, because they've done the vast majority of the classic monsters by this point. However, the detail on those figures does tend to vary quite a lot. However, with this statue you have that assurance of quality, and this will look wonderful on display. I do wonder why we didn't get a Capture Options 5.5 action figure of the Ancient One, or the Omnivores as a whole, because I think that this statue is definitive proof that this design is really eye-catching and looks excellent on the shelf. I'm definitely happy that I picked up this statue whilst it was available. So firstly, let's take a look at the statue's head. Now this is an absolutely incredible design with lots of lovely smaller details. Of course, within the actual story we have a rather impressive mask that is used for the Ancient One, less so for the actual Omnivores themselves. However, I still think that they are quite effective. I can definitely remember watching the story as a kid. It's definitely something that has stuck in the memory. It is a rather interesting kind of blend between vampiric, alien, but also oceanic at the same time, and that's been excellently reflected within this head sculpt. He's not exactly the most handsome of Doctor Who characters, to say the least. As we can see where we have the mouth here, we have this rather unusual, almost octopi kind of tentacle with lots of lovely smaller circles sculpted into the actual head itself, and this has been given a lovely wash over the top with a nice white coating, really bringing out those smaller details. As we turn to the side of the face, we also have the gills in there as well, which within the actual story did kind of move up and down. Of course that isn't reflected on this statue because it is one static piece. Again, a lovely wash over the top of this, featuring darker greens, a little bit of grey, really bringing out those lovely textured details. And what I love about this sculpt is that we have so many smaller things that you spot each and every time that you look at the statue. So as we rotate around to the back, we have this very unusual, almost bone-like structure, different shades of creams and yellows. And then as we turn back around to the front, again we have this rather brain-like structure with lots of different scales, lots of different sections within the design. Of course we have this overhang at the top of the forehead. The eyes have been excellently painted using this lovely yellow highlight with the black pupil in there as well. And overall I really do love it. I would dare say it is in fact one of my personal favourite head sculpts that Robert Harrop have ever created. And I think that that is the beauty of unusual monsters being released as a part of this series. I think that the design overall from the story can really be embraced within these statues, especially with the paint application over the top of lots of lovely shades, really bringing the piece to life. Of course, due to the statue being one static piece, it can't exactly move or be posed in any manner, therefore it's great to see that once more Robert Harrop have taken a rather lovely design choice to feature an accessory, I suppose. The Omnivore or Ancient One is actually holding what looks like a canister, I do believe a gas canister from when you dive underwater, and again this has been given a lovely textured paint application. We don't simply have a block colour, some lovely gradients of silver and darker washes of grey have been added over the top to really make the two canisters look like a metal material. And then across the sides of this, a lighter brown buckle, and again this has been given a lovely silver highlight on the buckles. This is also a good opportunity to take a look at the hands. Again, an absolutely incredible sculpt, and the paint application over the top of this really makes it pop. We have those vampire-esque claws there, highlighted using a white paint application, and again we have those suckers which have been applied looking a bit Zygon, I suppose, in design around the sides of the arms, and that lovely almost toothpaste blue kind of paint application there over the top with lots of different shades of blue represented going all the way down the arms. A really impressive design overall. The vast majority of the chest section itself is hidden by the canister, however as we tilt to the side we can see a number of smaller details. What I absolutely love about the Omnivore overall in its design choice is that you can kind of see a story being told within the actual costume. It's not simply a bog-eyed monster, we have a little bit of history within the design, and I love that blend between a human kind of diving equipment and then an alien race. These diving pipes which have been given this lovely bronze highlight, again making them look like a metal-esque material, and we also have the inclusion of what I suppose is a diving suit, which is a more man-made kind of material. A little bit of what looks like chainmail here up the very top, again given a lovely bronze wash. However, to represent the fact that this has been lurking within the ocean, there is a number of rips within the outfit itself with a little bit of the haunted blue skin poking out from underneath, and then again some lovely smaller details that you may not notice the first time round, including this rather old historic way that we have the stitching crossed around the bottom here of the jacket itself. And as we flip around to the back, we have lots of lovely additional details, including again further diving equipment. We have these rather large sort of piping pieces coming over the shoulders, and again further tubes coming around to the back. And of course this rather unusual section which is actually jutting out of the costume itself. As we turn around to the opposite side, again I really like how this isn't necessarily the same as the other side. The shoulder is quite unique as we have this other sort of mesh section highlighted with a darker paint application, and again more of those further details. A nice black wash has been applied over the uniform to give it more texture and again bring the piece to life. As we move further down the statue, we kind of have a more human approach with lots of different pieces of material and lots of lovely textures, and as always the paint application over the top of this has really drawn out those smaller details. So as we can see, flipping around to the side here, we have this little metal section giving a lovely golden highlight, and then the same for the back as well. I can't figure out if this is those clams that kind of attach to rocks and things on the seabed, because after all the Omnivores are normally under the water for quite a long period of time. And then we also have further different unusual material sections, including this checkered design here, rugged and unnatural, and it looks like a uniform has literally fell apart over the time. And as we turn around to the opposite side again, we have more of this almost chainmail section and a little silver buckle there at the very top also. And just in case he gets a little bit bored, the Ancient One also comes pre-prepared with his ancient xylophone. It does look a bit like a xylophone, doesn't it? It's very odd. It's kind of like a bone-like structure, and again a lovely white and cream paint application has been applied over the top of this, with this black line in the middle here to kind of string it all together. Again, a really lovely sculpt on this, really making the piece look interesting. And finally, to finish off the uniform, we have the inclusion of these rather rugged looking boots. Again, a great paint palette over the top of this, featuring various different shades of brown, really creating that leather effect, very textured and very battered. And then we also have sort of his toes sticking out from the end. I think he needs some new shoes, to say the least. I think he's been underwater a little bit too long. Again, his toes have been given a rather lovely lighter blue highlight with a white wash over the top. As always with the Robert Harrop series, this statue does come with a uniquely sculpted base just to make the figure look a little bit more exciting, as opposed to just having a regular white or black coloured base. This is really nice and again features some rather interesting paint applications to give the impression of the floor being a little bit dirtied from no doubt quite a lot of use. I do believe that this is in fact the bunker seen within the later half of the story, and we have a silver grating there running through the middle. As we flip around to the back, we also have the sculpting mark in there as well, for the person who sculpted this release, along with the white trim that is featured on all of the releases. And of course, as always, if we tuck the figure upside down, at the very bottom we have a material piece to ensure that the statue doesn't slide about when on a display surface, accompanied by a sticker stating the same details are printed on the packaging, as well as also stating that this is Unit 81 out of 225 and is the 44th figure within the Doctor Who series. One of my personal favourite things about the Robert Harrop series is that regardless of the era the character comes from, each statue is given a lot of care, attention and respect, and regardless of how the creature actually looks within the TV show itself, the ending product always looks cool. And yes, within the stories, sometimes some classic monsters can look a little bit dodgy due to the budget of Doctor Who at the time. However, regardless of that, within statue form, we get to see that design in its full glory. Some of those errors are taken away to make the monster look really cool, and I think that this statue is a great example of that. The overall paint application is really lovely. I love the different shades, in particular that lovely blue design which has been used on the torso, head and hands. It really does make the statue stand out, and also at the same time it kind of makes it glow, and those smaller details, including all those little ridges within the face, look absolutely superb. So in conclusion, for my review of the Doctor Who Robert Harrop limited edition hand-painted figurine of the Ancient One from the Curse of Fenric, another brilliant addition to the Robert Harrop shelf, and as always with this series, Robert Harrop have done an incredible job with the sculpt, and the paint application is of an incredibly high quality, and that is the thing of this series. There is always that guarantee of a high quality product, and when you purchase from this line, you know you are getting a statue that is most certainly worth the money. As always, of course, I do recommend this item to an older Doctor Who collector as opposed to a younger Doctor Who fan, and in particular if you are a fan of the Curse of Fenric as a Doctor Who story, this is most certainly a statue that I recommend adding to your collection. It is a really lovely piece, and it's nice to have the Curse of Fenric kind of represented on the shelf, having previously only had an action figure or two of the 7th Doctor, and after all, the Omnivores are a really unique and brilliant looking creature. I did in fact have a quick look before filming this review how many Robert Harrops I've accumulated over the past few years, as it's still a considerably recent thing that I've started collecting compared to the rest of my Doctor Who collection, and I'm quite surprised how many I have accumulated over the past few years. It's one of those series that is great to dip in and out of with the statues that interest you, but that said, once you start collecting them, you do tend to get quite addicted quite quickly, collecting all these excellent and weird and wonderful monsters from the Doctor Who universe. So thank you very much for watching this review. I really hope you have enjoyed it. Do of course stay tuned on the Host Productions for regular Doctor Who reviews. And on that note, have a nice day. I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.